Hello everyone, I'm Sophie and I'm currently at Kechara Forest Retreat, Bentong, Malaysia. And this is the book that I'll be sharing from, Tales My Lama Told Me. This is by Pastor David Lai, who is writing with stories shared by our Guru, His Eminence, the 25th Sam Tulku Rinpoche. Today's chapter is chapter 11, Miraculous Statues. So let me share a picture with you. There you go. This is of our Guru, His Eminence the 25th Sam Tulku Rinpoche, in front of Lama Tsongkhapa statue, which is in front of the Wisdom Hall at Kechara Forest Retreat, Bentong, Malaysia. Chapter 11, Miraculous Statues, page 98. I love Buddha statues and have quite a number of them, but none of these statues have revealed any miraculous signs to me. I suppose they are only as alive as the little cheapskate prayers and offerings that I make to them every other day. However, this is not true of all Buddha images. In Tibet today, there still exist many statues which are very old and highly charged with the blessings of many awakened masters. Because they are imbued with such powerful energy, many of these statues have come to life and exhibited many miraculous signs. One of the most common miracles exhibited by such statues is their ability to speak to very sincere and devout practitioners. Due to the affinity of our time, the most common Buddha to speak are Je Tsongkhapa and Tara. It is unwise to criticize any form of Buddha statue, as you would be degrading the Buddha's enlightenment. This includes great beings such as Je Tsongkhapa, who became enlightened. It is very important to know this because Je Tsongkhapa was incredible when he was alive. He performed many miracles during his lifetime, and even at death, he showed miraculous signs. Some of the many statues of Je Tsongkhapa that have displayed miracles could actually speak. We refer to this as Sum Gyoma. Sum in Tibetan for speech. Gyo is to talk, and ma is the suffix that turns it into an object. In Tibet, there were many Je Tsongkhapa statues that could miraculously speak. It is incredible, and I will relate to you the stories of some of the more famous ones. When Je Tsongkhapa passed away, the whole of Tibet was plunged into sorrow. Much of Mongolia, northern India, and China mourned the loss as well. Even the emperors of China were in great sorrow and pain. Some were very sad because they had never even had the chance to have an audience with Tsongkhapa or meet him. Since there were very few representations of him, most people were unable to see his holy likeness. So many craftsmen set about making statues and painting tankas of him. From there, a very good tradition of paintings and drawings of Je Tsongkhapa began. Although Je Tsongkhapa had not publicly displayed his miraculous powers while he was alive, he performed many miracles through these statues and tankas after he passed away. In Tibet, 8 statues of Je Tsongkhapa in particular have since become legendary for displaying many miraculous signs. The first of these 8 great legendary statues is known as Je Sepama, or the Venerable One, who disappeared with a smile. At one time, a humble practitioner was trying to find a statue of Je Tsongkhapa for his retreat, but was unsuccessful. Statues of Je Tsongkhapa were rare and quite difficult for lay people to obtain in Tibet at that time. This was because it took a long process to make them. So, he made himself a small statue for his retreat and placed it on his shrine. For him, this statue was a living Jay Tsongkhapa, and every day before beginning his meditation, he would make offerings and prostrations towards it. One day, as he arose from deep meditation on Jay Tsongkhapa, he noticed that the statue was gradually melting into light. Astonished, he observed the statue smiling, ascending into space, and completely dissolving into light. The meditator was astonished and could hardly believe what he had seen. After reflecting for a while, he decided to go to his teacher and tell him what had happened. His teacher was delighted and told him to make another statue, exactly like the previous one. He did this, and this statue was called the Venerable One who disappeared with a smile. The second and third statues of Jay Tsongkhapa that were known to speak were made by two craftsmen who were engaged in a friendly competition. They wanted to see who was more skilled in making statues. They took the two statues to a high Lama to judge, and as the Lama was examining the images with a faithful mind, one statue miraculously spoke, saying, "I'm a better likeness." Then the other statue retorted, "Well, I am more beneficial to others." This was how the two famous statues received their names, which are the Venerable One who is the better likeness and the Venerable One who is more beneficial to others. The fifth statue of Jay Rinpoche is called Jay Nampoma. It belonged to a monastery where it was witnessed by a particular sincere practitioner to have ascended into space and then returned to its place on the shrine before meditations. As a result, the statue became known as the Venerable One who rose into space. The sixth statue was made by a government official who was a faithful disciple of Jay Tsongkhapa, and he had Jay Tsongkhapa himself consecrated the statue. One day, an enemy who had been harboring jealousy for the official impulsively stole the statue and, while escaping, threw it into a large river. Years later, and one day, a rich and important merchant by the name of Gelek was riding on his horse through the area when he noticed an unusual rainbow rising vertically. It seemed to emerge from the bottom of the river. He thought that this was an unusual sign, so he decided to set up camp nearby to contemplate its meaning. The next morning, the rainbow was still there, and so he decided to investigate further. Although the local people could not see anything, Gelek was not convinced. He secured himself with ropes, dived into the river, and swam towards the bottom of the river. On the riverbed, he discovered the statue of Jay Tsongkhapa, which was radiating rainbow lights. When he arose back to the surface, the onlookers were surprised to see him still alive, as they thought he had drowned. But everyone was even more amazed with the statue that he discovered. Since it was the chief merchant Gelek who retrieved the statue was also subsequently bestowed with the name Gelek. The seventh statue was discovered from an eastern part of Tibet, where there was prolonged civil war. The local people longed for the fighting to stop, so they went to a nearby Lama who was a renowned meditator and asked him what they could do to make things better. He advised them to build a large statue of Jay Tsongkhapa in their own town and make numerous offerings and requests towards it. The people delightedly followed his instructions, and soon after, the conflict ceased and peace prevailed throughout the land. This auspicious statue later became known as Jetsun Dopa, or the Venerable One who pacifies conflict. The eighth statue was named after a revered statue of Jay Tsongkhapa that mysteriously disappeared and could not be found anywhere. Great meditators with clairvoyance explain that the statue had gone to another land far away, where the ground was strewn with diamonds, and where the language and customs were completely different from ours. They also realized through their clairvoyance that the statue was benefiting the beings of that land. So they decided to make another one similar to it and name it the Venerable One, gone to another land. Such miracles did not just occur in old Tibet. They are still happening right in our day and age. For example, there was a great geshe called Geshe Jatse, who was from Sarah Monastery. When he had completed his geshe training, he withdrew to the mountains for retreat and meditation. He didn't he didn't teach or go out or gather any disciples. He lived an ascetic life like that of Milarepa and focused solely on Jay Tsongkhapa and his practice during many years in solitude. When he died, many of his disciples came together. Although he had avoided gathering students during his life, many people had tremendous faith in him and considered themselves his disciples. When he died, many disciples, along with a large number of onlookers, went to the cave to pay their last respects to the body of their guru. To their astonishment, they found that Geshe Jatse's statue of Je Tsongkhapa, which was the main image on his altar, had grown teeth and hair. I heard this account directly from his disciples, some of whom I had known myself. There was another teacher called Geshe Danden from Nobu Jampaling Monastery. At one time, he did a long, close retreat on Je Tsongkhapa while reciting Mitsema mantras with his mala. At the end of this retreat, a very tiny image of Lama Tsongkhapa appeared on one of on the beads. He showed this to a number of people, and it was clear that a Je Tsongkhapa image had manifested on the bead. This was a clear sign that Je Tsongkhapa can manifest many miraculous signs to those who are faithful. The incredible story of the fourth statue of Lama Tsongkhapa is similar to this next story that I have heard. This statue was named after a great practitioner called Nyune Lama. Nyune was a wonderful meditator who performed extensive retreats while fasting, not speaking, and doing prostrations. Nyumne is a particular retreat, focusing on the Buddha 1000 Avalokiteshvara. During such retreats, practitioners would not talk, eat, or drink, and would focus only on doing prostrations and reciting the mantra Om Mani Padme Hum. The retreat is dedicated to the suffering beings of the three lower realms, hell beings, spirits who are unable to eat, and animals who are unable to speak. This practice trains us to realize the suffering of other beings, and while we contemplate, we recite Om Mani Padme Hum and dedicate this to them. The Lama practiced Nyune to so much that and so ardently that he was given the name Nyumne Lama. His main practice was in relation to Je Tsongkhapa, so he did these Nyune practices in conjunction with the Guru Yoga of Tsongkhapa. He used to keep a statue of Je Tsongkhapa on his shrine and regarded the statue as a living Je Tsongkhapa. He stated that he would practice Guru Yoga from refuge up to the dissolution of Guru Tsongkhapa into his heart. He practiced so sincerely that he developed a very pure heart and achieved a special experience of concentration. One day, while visualizing Je Tsongkhapa dissolving into his heart, he experienced a feeling that the statue was actually dissolving into him. When he arose from meditation, he saw that the statue on his shrine had disappeared. After this happened, He attained high realizations, which became noted far and wide. News of this event spread, and the craftsman who had made the statue became very famous. Another statue of J. Tsongkhapa was later made by these craftsmen, to which they gave the name, the Venerable One who dissolved into the body. Therefore, please do not underestimate the power of Buddha statues and think that they are just made of stone, metal, or wood. I always recommend many of my friends and students to keep an altar and make lots of offerings to the Buddhas, just as J. Tsongkhapa. Wondrous things can happen if you have faith and are sincere and consistent with your practice. And that's the end of that chapter on how the statues, with sincere prayers and meditations, may appear with miracles, and show miraculous signs by either speaking or, as they say, manifesting, disappearing, and all sorts of things. So when you're sincere in your practice, J. Tsongkhapa may just, appear. And usually the appearance would be with a message, like to maybe show your sincerity. But since, I've never experienced it, I can't say for, anything about it. So anyway, as the story, it's a very interesting stories that statues, don't just view them as normal, statues, but actually treat them as the Buddha themselves. And who knows? Well, thank you for sharing your time with me. And please do join me again for my next sharing, which will be a new chapter. And now we end this with a completion dedication in Tibetan. Jangjo Senjo Rinpoche, Makepanam Geshi, Gepanam Pame Payang, Gone Gondo Pewasho, Tony Tonga Rinpoche, Makepanam Geshi, Gepanam Pame Payang, Gone Gondo Pewasho, Dasan Jini Sapagewadi, Tandandroa Gona Kampadang, Japan Jason Nosan Trapai, Tamping in Boring to Sa Sesho, Kewa Kunto Yanda Lamadan, Dromi Jogi Pala Long Joji, Sadam Nangi Yatarazone, Doje Shanging of Pangatus, Gewadi, Yododa, Lamasanga Droyone, Drewa Chicken Malupa, De Salago Poshu, Joki Kaposungapa, Josuna Papewala, Geki Samasiwadan, Donki Malo Sawasho, Dadam Senge Dusandan, Drewi Songi Latene, Gewala Santrapai, Tampayo Riva, Gyushi, Ni Modele Sendele, Ni Migunyan Shi, Nisintato delle Pel, Concho Songi Jingilo, Concho Songi Ngoduso, Concho Songi Trasi Sho. Lama kusen rapting ching, Nam Katrini Chochuke Padang, Loss of Tempe Drum is Subsongi, Drawing Mensatatoni, Gyushi, Gangri Rawiko, Wishing Come, Pendan Dewa Malu Guine, Charan Zewan Tensing Get Songi, Shapeshiri Badu de Gyushi, Home Domping Otru Malupa, then the Dala Saduso, Koda Dempa Long Shot Nam, Kepa Sushik Shukten Cell. Thank you again for sharing your time with me, and I'll see you